right, all right, all right, all right. Let's see what we can get right here. Come on in, just setting up, just setting up. We'll be with you in 1 second. So we'll get some other things here on these lives real quick. Setting these lives up. Give me a second. Give me a second. We setting up our lives. You know how it is. You got to get everything clicking and ticking, right? Come on in here. Come on in here. I know some of us is on our way home. We're making that trip. We're making that journey. I pray you keep your head on a swivel because these people driving crazy nowadays. You hear what I said? I know you seen it. Folk out here driving like they ain't got no sense. What was I doing with that? Come on in, come on in. We're getting our sex up, getting our texts up. Hope everything's going well as you're making your way home. Keeping your head, like I said, on that swivel. These folks are driving crazy, everybody. What we doing out here? Let's do it, let's do it. All right, now how can we make this thing right here? Give me 1 second. We streaming from a couple out here, so like I said, we trying to get these specs up and popping. So you can't make that change right now. On one of these interfaces up here that he got it up here, they won't let me take it up out of that silent mode. I'm trying to take it out of silent mode. We'll see what we'll do. I got you. 1 second. Testing, 1 2 1 2. What's going on, Teresa? It's good to see you. Appreciate you stopping by. Get this title and then we up and popping. That'll do. That'll do. That'll do. All right, all right, all right. What's going on? Blessings and peace be unto you. It is your brother Yasha here, and I am here with another one of my perspectives, and we are going to talk today. Let's get some of that music down a little bit. About the microaggressions here at work. I don't know how long you've been working. I don't know how long you've been dealing with the entity called corporate America here in America, but the practice is horrible. If you worked in any facet of the work field here in America, the morale is always trash, and it is kept trash purposely. And during the hiring process of a lot of these jobs and a lot of these careers, they speak about wanting the best and the brightest of ingenuitive and self-starting and encouraging and high energy individuals for their to join their positions or join their companies. However, the practice of what actually goes on when you get into these businesses, these careers, these sites, these locations is not what it was built. And depending on who you are, it might even become where now you can't do anything right because you have a level of excellence, you have a level of standard that you work to, and it isn't predicated on kissing one's behind. When did that template become the go along, get along to succession and success here? And this is one of the many facets that I'm speaking about when I say we're so over the microaggressions here in the business and corporate world. So with that, we're going to share a couple examples that I had came across, and then coming across those examples, the things that stood out to me, hopefully I stand out to you, and we'll break those down. So up first, what I'll play is a young lady that recorded herself in a meeting. You know what? I'm just gonna play it, and I'm gonna let you hear what she's got to say.
So, so let's just take it from there at this point. I think that's the best solution.
I think also the best solution is to not have a repeat of this dynamic. That's all I'm asking for. This dynamic is beginning to it's causing the morale to drop, and I want us to at least have a conversation, just a clear dialogue,
Let me know
not
if you hear
anything
that.
about director and employee, but just a human to human, person to person dialogue, because the dynamic and this breakdown in communication is just, it's not professional. We ought to be able to communicate like two adults without it feeling like one person is being a bully and the other person is just hanging on the other end because one person is dangling their job over their head.
Now I'm gonna pause it right there. That part right there, right? I don't know if you heard what the young lady had said, but she said, when you're in positions where you're working within the corporate sphere or in the business world, and someone feels as though their management or their position above you entitles them to belittle you or treat or create an atmosphere that is toxic and damaging, it's real interesting how that always is for people that look like me, right? Folks always want to speak about how folks are always claiming a victim, but there is a 10-year practice and has been a 10-year practice. It's no secret here in America that unfortunately, if you got some melanation in your skin, everybody has an issue with how you do your job and are mindful about what you do on your job. But the big wigs and those who scapegoat on millions and thousands of dollars and just totally cause the situations that we're in, you ain't never got no smoke for them. You never clocking them like you clocking us. So as the sister said, she would love to have an atmosphere where she goes to work where she doesn't feel like I have to watch my tone, I have to watch my tongue, or this is gonna mess up my bread on how I pay my bills. But it is that fine line and that mask and maskings that you have to learn to wear if you're going to be successful out here in this nation. And it is beyond at a place and time where we're tired of the microaggression. But I'm gonna let the sister continue.
I would prefer to be able to come to you as just like a person who I respect and admire and have dialogues. And when I need help, I feel comfortable and confident in you being a leader that I can come to. But it seems that every time I try to bring an issue up with the tone or the disrespect or the dynamic, it is met with even more tones and disrespect and breakdowns in the dynamic. I can get this promotion over the finish line. I can do what I need to do to get the job done, because I've been getting the job done this entire time. But I don't want the repeat.
Have you? You know what? I gotta find it because hold on, hold on. I gotta find it. Hold on, hold on. To that point, did you hear what she was saying and how that process was going on? Oh man, I don't know if I have it with me right now. She was saying, I don't think I'm mad. So what she was saying was how her argument about the atmosphere and what it costs to deal with being in that atmosphere. She can do her job. That's not the issue. The issue is the cattiness, the pettiness that goes on, the little courteousness, the run tell that goes on. That's just beneath her. And as a woman of her standing, her age, she doesn't feel like she needs to have to deal with that. However, as she was articulating that, you hear the other young lady cut in and start to cut her off. Like, have some people lost emotional control and their minds can't keep up? We know the answer is yes. We know the answer is yes. However, if you know the answer is yes, why not work on self? Because communication is it's a bridge of being able to foster open network between individuals or groups. And it only happens if there is an open line. And if you don't want to receive or hear from one side, it's just dictatorship at that point, right? So as she was speaking, and what I was looking for was there was this meme, you know, they got them soundbite memes. I was going to get it, but I didn't get it. And it was a soundbite meme where someone started talking, and then as soon as he started talking, it was like, "Hey man, you remember this one time?" The guy's like, "Yeah, yo, do you recall that time we went down?" And he was like, and he just went into a full blown monologue, like, "Well, I don't care because guess who was talking first?" They always like to cut you off and never let you finish. You can never get through your full thought process because again, everything is always an I'm having a little brain fart, an accusatory way, in a manner, and unfortunately, folks always have to come off like they have to defend themselves, their work ethic, their character, in these moments, and your work history, your work ethic, it already speaks for itself. It's nothing new here. That's why you are who you are. It's just a continued tenure practice of this microaggression, as the young lady continues.
Unclear.
It hasn't
That's
been
what this is
unclear.
about.
It hasn't been unclear. I'm being very it's not been unclear. The communication has been disrespectful. And there's a difference between the two. And I'm asking, and I shouldn't have to ask another adult to respect me as a human being. And that is all I'm asking for. I've been asking for that for months. Respect the way you speak to me. Respect the tone that you use towards me. Respect me as a human being enough to collaborate with me on
That right there, that like, why has it even got to be like that? Why does she have to go down and seemingly implore and bless her heart that she is humble enough to do those things? That it's not, she's not too heavy to do those things. That is a testament to her character in itself to me. I don't feel as though she was weak in that because again, the goal is to have dialogue, right? And in dialogue, you can't always be right unless you just want to be a dictator. We really don't live in that lifestyle, but be it as it may, they call that the superficial narcissist. But that's one of the Pee Wee Herman words of the day. With that being said, the imploring and the fostering of trying to have a transparent, calm line of communication, atmosphere in the workplace where it's not hostile, it's not toxic. And she also said at one point to just have a conversation to be seen with the same energy as a human being. Like, what is going on? This is the backwardsness of New Babylon that drives me crazy. Like it's historically tenured. And we will see that the racist tropes and the bigoted tropes come off as though they're not what they are. And folks, we've been past tired of it. The last time we were collectively tired of it, like we're collectively tired of it now, was the 60s. And then they just went into a whole different direction on how they broke that mindset up. But I digress. It is a 10-year practice of having to deal with BS that you should not have to deal with when you just want to show up, do your job, take your behind home, make your coins when it's time for you to make your coins, and keep it moving. The level of surveillance on the collective is ridiculous. Again, history, we haven't done none of the atrocities that those who point this watchful eye generationally have done. Yet, when we cross the street, you want to clutch the purse. The devil is a liar, ain't no truth in it. What we talking about out here? Let the sister continue on her stuff.
these projects, these jobs, or even when there's something that's wrong. Like, be at least be willing to accept your role in certain things when things break down, and not just always want to push it all on me.
That's right. It's never your fault.
The responsibility of that on me when there is a clear breakdown in communication between the both of us that are causing certain things to deteriorate.
How many of you, because of what you look like, have always had to deal with the consequences, whether it's severe or minor, because you or what you look like? But when the time comes around, there's always some weird behind caveat for everybody else. When it's time for you to get your promotions, there's always some weird behind stuff that go on that you may end up getting terminated, or you just didn't meet the mark. But when you've met the mark previously before, now all of a sudden when it's time to get them coins increased, when it's time to get that promotion, this is a 10-year practice. It ain't no secret. It's never been no secret. And I'm not sitting here capping. I'm saying dealing with this is one of those compounded traumas that the collective has to deal with and has had to deal with. And now we're moving into a different way that the game is being played, along with those traumas passed down and still collective, still currently producing dividends. As this is 2025, what this young lady's talking about and what she deals with as she continues, which is going to be very interesting about this atmosphere in this office that she works in.
At this point, my newest habit is calling a thing a thing. Okay, I'm going to call you out on your behavior every time you exercise said behavior. I'm not going to sit and lie down and be on the receiving end of microaggressions anymore. I'm too old for that shit.
I know that's right.
I'm done with that. I'm done with that. I do my job.
Come on.
And I guess sometimes I do it too well and that ruffles feathers. But who cares? Can we just get the fucking job done? It is just her and me. We are the department. So when I speak to her about the morale, it's just her and me.
What's happening? Appreciate y'all stopping by, checking out.
And my job, dangling it over
Shalom,
my head,
blessings and peace unto you this day.
Being a bully, using that as a means to bully me. I am done with it. I'm done with it. And I went ahead and told HR, like, hey, I already told this woman that we need to talk about her behavior. So this is when we're gonna talk about it. This is what I'm gonna say. I sent that email this morning before we even had this call. I told her I was gonna call my boss out on her.
Sis said a no, and we're gonna run that back. Before she even had this interaction, before she even recorded this, it wasn't anything on weird. It has just been a continued 10-year practice, and we're at the day and time where you got to have the evidence because black voices never mattered, right? Black voices never mattered. As soon as black said, we want our voices to matter, they want all voices to matter. All voices have always mattered over our voices. We'll get to that, though. So she already did the due diligence, the paperwork, the email. The information was sent to HR to make sure it didn't look and didn't come off hostile, microaggressive on her part because the run tell that are very, very quick to become the victim when their microaggressions don't produce the emotional response that they were hoping and looking for. And it is that mental chess game that is also tiresome. It has been tiresome here in Babylon. That you trying to cause an emotional response. You're trying to keep tapping to try to get me to act out of character. Why? As you heard the young lady say, because she has a work ethic, shouldn't she? I mean, in this day and time, I'm a little bit in the tooth. Not that long with a tooth, but a little bit enough to say that the work ethic of this younger generation is tilted to a different drum. So in her demographic and in her group, I would want someone that's close to my generation because I know that we kind of segue and interchange on how things need to be done and we kind of speak the same language, if that makes any sense. And again, I'm not throwing any shade to the younger generation, I'm just saying the conversation, we're still learning to have that conversation because there's been a lot and that has caused division and confusion in that. But as I digress, as she said, having that conversation within the spirit of that office setting and it being received and it being something that she doesn't feel as though she has to always kind of be the initiator of facilitating these type of atmospheres is one issue. The other issue of feeling as though she has to suffer her mental health was a big deal. How many folks have like got in the car on their lunchtime and just like all the way screamed, all the way cried, all the way lost it because of the microaggression that is allowed in these job sites and on these businesses and in these corporate America settings. It is another, again, like I said, compounded trauma that one has to learn to wear a mask to deal with, right? Let's continue. And I'll take that back to what she said as she came out of that meeting with the young lady.
Break down and not just always want to push it all on me and push the responsibility of that on me when there is a clear breakdown in communication between the both of us that are causing certain things to deteriorate. At this point, my newest habit
This is her speaking.
Calling a thing a thing. Okay, I'm going to call you out on your behavior every time you exercise said behavior. I'm not going to sit and lie down and be on the receiving end of microaggressions anymore. I'm too old for that shit. I'm
Hope
done
that's
with
not too
that.
loud.
I'm
Let me
done
know.
with that. I do my job, and I guess sometimes I
That
do
better?
it too well,
I don't want to be too loud.
and that ruffles feathers. But who cares? Can we just get the fucking job done?
If you
It is
could put a
just
one in the chat, let
her
me know if the
and
sound
me.
is
We are the department. So when
too
I
loud, too
speak to
low.
her about the morale, it's just her and me, the person who holds all the cards, and my job dangling it over my head and just being a bully, using that as a means to bully me. I am done with it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
done with it. And I went ahead and told HR, like, hey, I already told this woman that we need to talk about her behavior. So this is when we're gonna talk about it. This is what I'm gonna say. I
That's right.
sent that email this morning before we even had this call. I
That's
told her I
right.
was gonna call my boss out on her bullying, and
CYA.
I identified it as
How many
such
y'all know about CYA
because
out here in
God
Business
has the
America? Come
abundance
on.
of grace. I don't. My grace has run dry.
Wow.
It's run dry. I depleted it, trying to be patient and trying to, be mindful. Fuck all that. Fuck all that. Because what I ended up doing was sacrificing my own
My Lord.
mental and emotional well being and health for the sake of somebody who doesn't give two shits about me.
Come on, somebody.
Okay,
Run
about
that
her
back. Run that
behavior.
back.
So this is when we're gonna talk about it. This is what I'm gonna say. I sent that email this morning before we even had this call. I told her I was gonna call my boss out on her bullying, and I identified it
Bullying.
as such because God has the abundance of grace. I don't. My grace has run dry.
Mm. I just want to take the time out to encourage the sister. Get your prayer closet. Get encouraged. Don't let your grace run out. You're going to need it in these day and times. If you ain't got some grace to give because you ever receive, it's going to be tough. But I feel what you said. She said, after all that, that's the creator. And yes, it is. That's his position. Because the way that these folks be acting in these offices, the energy that they come off, the entitlement that they come off, oh, man, bruh. You really not the slice of cake you really believe you are. Okay? Come on, somebody.
It's run dry. I depleted it, trying to be patient and trying to, be mindful. Fuck all that.
Mm.
Fuck all that. Because what I ended up doing was sacrificing my own mental and emotional well being and health for the sake of somebody who doesn't give
Sir.
two shits about me.
At
Okay?
all.
I'm not doing that anymore.
How many of you know if you get sick that nobody gonna call you and say, hey, how you been? I know that you were feeling a little under the weather. Did you need anything done? Did you need me to pick anything up? We can send somebody by, take care of this, that, and the third for you. Even if you tenured at these companies, folks give, and we do now know. One of the most horriblest things that we have done is give so many life hours to these jobs and corporations. But again, that's how the rigmarole of the hamster wheel is set up, right? To keep you away from your children, to keep you away from your family, to cause and sow division. However, in the time that you are away, everything else will play. And the destruction and the division that is caused in our homes because we be here, but they don't care. Because you could drop dead. And they're going to look for somebody else to fill that spot. Because the machine still got to keep moving, right? And as I said, who calls you to say, hey, is everything all right with you? Did you need us to send anybody to take care of some of that? We know you usually take your kids to soccer on Tuesday. We know you usually coach down at the league. We're going to send somebody. It's none of that. But you want us and you want folks to be all into your companies. I remember the time, and we're going to get back to sis because we got so much more to go on, where what you did at home was your business. Well, that was until the internet. But when the internet came, this is trippy, being able to say that because I was there when it dropped off. But you know how you be like, I know. I don't mind saying I'm older, but still, it's funny saying. When the internet started, I remember when they were like, yeah, they're going to start letting people go because of what they did in their home life. And I said, yeah, that's crazy. If folks let that fly, then it's over with. And sure enough, it wasn't enough backlash. It wasn't enough vitriol. It wasn't enough. Y'all done lost your mind. And then corporations started firing people for what they did at home. But I digress. Let's go.
So I'm gonna call a thing a thing. I pray I still have a job. Okay.
Bless your heart,
but
sis.
What else am I supposed to do?
How many of you know in 2025 it's going to get tough? It's been tough. It's always going to be tough. But is it tough enough? Because it's going to get all the way tough. Is it tough enough to have you crash your way out, want to hurt yourself, hurt somebody else? Or is it best for you to walk away? If it's best for you to walk away, you don't know where your next bill gonna come, but you got your mind. I think you winning. I think you winning. Somebody, like, what you talking about out here? Look here. The goal that I have seen thus far on this journey, pay attention. If you have your mind and some type of understanding on how to survive and how to live out here, you are winning, because this thing is set up to make you go crazy. Have you not seen it? When you try to adhere to the rules that continue to bend the goalposts, that continue to extend further, have you not seen it? Just being cognizant and not greedy, not haughty, not cancerous is the victory. But I digress. Let's go.
What else am I supposed to do? My HR department has actually reached out to a higher up HR corporation to try to figure out how to deal with this woman. Why the
I
fuck is it
appreciate y'all. We
taking
got
so
30
long?
people up in here
Because
today.
while
That
y'all are
is the most
figuring
for
that
our
shit out,
live. This is our second.
I'm
If you
still
could
on
just
the
push that like,
receiving
because
end
our brother don't get that
of,
many
of the
with the live.
bullshit.
So I appreciate you.
Hurry it up, please. Okay?
And I'm gonna take that back
Hurry
because
it
I
up.
spoke over what the young sister said.
But I'm supposed to do. What else am I supposed to do? My HR department has actually reached out to a higher up HR corporation to try to figure out how to deal with this woman. Why the fuck is it taking so long?
Why you gotta reach out to another company? Why you can't handle in-house? Because when you firing brothers and sisters every day, you do it in-house. Like if the issue is in-house and you like, yeah, you don't have no problem calling folks up that look like me up on the issues. And I'm not here to be the victim of nobody. I ain't got to do that, because you know what? It actually happens. It's continued to happen. Them brothers and sisters that be like, oh, you want to be the victim? Look here, man. You can keep it moving. I'm so happy that you have not experienced this tenured history that continues to go on every day. Just like she talking about. You are the anomaly, and I salute you. Let's continue.
Because while y'all are figuring that shit out, I'm still on the receiving end of the bullshit.
Well,
Hurry it up, please. Okay? Hurry it up. But I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do. There's nothing else for me to do. I'm going to call out the behavior every time it rears its head. I'm going
that's
to
right.
say it every single time. If you don't want to be called a bully, stop being a fucking bully. If you don't want me to say that they're microaggressions, then shut that shit off and stop it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Cry you want to. You could pat on.
You supposed to sit there and get bullied in the office and not tell nobody about it. Now, for you youngins out there, y'all gonna have to learn. Unless you got some understanding. Them two don't often mix, but there are anomalies. So I say it like this. You gonna crash out every once in a while, especially this new generation. Y'all gonna do a lot of crashing out, and y'all gonna learn real quickly how swiftly that crashing out only sets up and hurts you. I'm not saying that you're not right and you're not justified, but it's about how you go about the business. Because there is a business when dealing with these businesses. Come on, somebody. And so within the business, you heard the sister say, she contacted the proper channels to make sure that her CYA cover your own behind. It's not CYA. I didn't say behind, but you know. She made sure that she talked to and she set up the paper trails that she needed to. And as she was saying right here, there's going to come a time where you're going to have to make a choice about how you defend and fight for yourself within these business settings and these office settings. And it's not always with your loud mouth. It's not always with your fearless bravado. It's not always with your disrespect and indifference. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. That's another conversation and another lie. So, learning how to articulate your emotions in a concise way, and then being able to get it to the right channels. Because again, as she said, they had to outsource now to another company because of the issues that were going on here at whatever place that she was working in. And again, that is a practice that continues to go on within a lot of these offices and a lot of these job sites. And if you don't know how to write up that paperwork, those reports, those accounts, you are always going to continue to be behind the 8 ball. Let's move on.
You want to when your gaslighting doesn't work. I don't care. Go cry to somebody else because the shit doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't. Especially when I consider how much I have cried over the frustration of dealing with that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Take it somewhere else. Okay? Or just stop the behavior and we wouldn't have this problem in the first place.
Just stop the
I'm at
behavior.
least mature enough to be like, hey, if you Even though you've caused all this destruction, if you want to modify your behavior and moving forward, operate, like a normal person, that's cool. I can work with you.
And that's why y'all the salt of the earth, and I love you. Despite the way that a lot of folks are feeling, and they are right in their feelings, I'm not saying that they not. I would not say that at all. The salt of the earth. If you act like you had some sense, if these corporations did right, if America did right, it wouldn't be America. How about that? I just got that one just came. If she did right, she wouldn't be America. But that's all that's been being asked since the conversation has been had. Do right, and we can keep it moving. Nobody got harp on the past, but everybody else get to harp on their past except for us. And I'm done with that conversation. All the way done with that conversation. Let's continue.
We won't have any problems. I won't hold this over your head or anything like that. You know what I mean? I won't let you hold my
Pause.
bird.
And what I mean by done by that conversation, I'm done with everybody else being able to talk about their traumas and their past. And then when we talk about our traumas or our past, that's been more tenured, more destructive, and more horrible, and more collectively worked against. Because there is a collective that works against us. I don't know if you know a collective. I'm tired of hearing somebody else or some other nation talk about their traumas. You lost me. That's what I'm tired of.
But like, I won't hold this over your head. You know, just fucking grow up. Some people don't need the roles that they are in because the power goes to their head.
Mm.
And when they see somebody that they have a personal issue with, they will use their position to torture them. This has literally been mental warfare the past few months. I
Did you
am
catch that? Run it
done
back.
because the power goes to their head. You know what I mean? I won't let you hold my purse, but like, I won't hold this over your head, you know? Just fucking grow up. Some people don't need the roles that they are in because the power goes to their head. And when they see somebody that they have a personal issue with, they will use their position to torture them.
How many of you had to deal with that here working in these jobs here in New Babylon 2.0? My mother, bless her heart, like a lot of our mothers, a lot of our folks that are actually working people. See, because you know what? Before I even segue into that, let's talk about that. You know who has to deal with this issue? You know what? What up, brother? Give me 1 second. I'm gonna give you. Watch it. You know what? I ain't gonna do that. You know who has to deal with this issue? People who go to work. Folks who don't go to work don't have to deal with this issue, but you give this type of microaggression to people who just want to do their job. People who just want to go and earn an honest living, pay their bills, and take their behind home. And you want to, because they don't kiss your behind, you want to become the ops. Ain't that one of the words of the year for the children? Huh? You want to become the opposition. You want to become the person that always wants to make their life, or they're gonna respect me, or they're gonna like, I'm even dealing with it right now. And it's like, and what I'm yesterday, I came to visit my friend. And as I came to her place where she lived at, she lived in one of them, spots that she didn't work hard enough to put herself in, bless her heart. And when I came there, I ordered some grub. And you gotta go down and go pick the grub up, and then you come back, you pick the grub up, you go back to where you're gonna be at. So I'm going back to pick my grub up, get on the elevator. It's a real short lady. She was on the elevator. She had something happened to her. She looked like she had been mangled. Not throwing shade, just that's what it was. She was like 4'9", and she looked like the dude from the first Silence of the Lambs that Hannibal Lecter had messed up with the little. I don't know if you've seen it, but anyway. And she was like, "Oh, I didn't know that they let folk go upstairs to go drop the food off. Where you dropping that off to?" I was like, "I'm not dropping this off anywhere. I'm going to take it upstairs. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to eat it. Stay here." And she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. You know about assumptions, because I just did that to myself." And I was just like, "Yeah." And I didn't have to get husky. I didn't have to get extra. Look, she was going all the way with it, but just the entitlement. Like, the children of immigrants came over here, stole a nation, let other immigrants over, and then made a hierarchy like their hierarchy has the moralistic compass of awesomeness. That the case point where we're speaking about in this office, that you got to kiss somebody's ass because they, excuse my French, the manager, or because they do the paperwork, or they clock in the overtime. And if they don't like you, if you ain't in their union, another setup on how to keep you out your money. Come on, somebody.
This has literally been mental warfare.
Mental warfare.
I am done. Done.
Drain. You go home, you gotta what? Sit down, have a drink. You gotta sit down, you gotta read your word. You gotta sit down, you gotta talk, you gotta sit down and get a cry, you gotta sit down and get a scream, you gotta sit down and hit the gym because folks just be acting like they ain't got no sense, somebody. And all you wanna do is do your job. Leave me the heck alone. Go that way. You be waiting. I see you came in about 5 minutes. You know what? That whole 5 minutes, 2 minutes thing, you blown me. You blown me. You blowing me. I'd rather not have to call somebody to fill a spot than somebody say, look, the child was going crazy this morning. I just couldn't get her up in the school. Give me a minute. I'll be there. You got it. There's no like commonality when it should be when we all have families and communities that come from America. The workforce benefits the corporation, supposedly. But tenurely, it don't look like that for us. Let's keep it moving.
Who? Bernie Sanders?
Now, on this next clip, just for context, right? I want to share a point of view on why.
I don't know.
Just give me one
I would
second.
never work in the hospitality.
I should have had them queued up, but you know that'd be that like Johnny Professional. Because one second, y'all. And please take this time to press that like button for your brother. I appreciate you out here in these streets. I hope that your ride home is going well. Keep your head on that swivel. These folks are driving crazy. They inching back and forth trying to get you to get into an accident on purpose. It's like real crazy out here, man. It's like real crazy out here. And I'm like, bro, you got it. Ain't nobody got no time for that silly stuff. I ain't got no time for y'all up here trying to crash and dash. No sir. Let me see. Let me get that. Getting this audio up for you to that point. One second. Sorry that it's taking so long, but I ain't set them in no order, and you know you want to get the right ones for what we need in this situation. Okay, here we go. Where we at? That's this. What am I? Okay. Should put my eyes on. Actually, you know what? I'm about to do that. Give me 1 second. Look at my glasses. That's what happens when you're an old man. That's why you're looking over here at all these little small ass drawings. Let me look at my eyes. Hold on. I'm gonna let this brother right here speak. This is a tenure. This brother's from the '60s right here, right? Listen to his perspective on it.
keep your word. All right? If you are a man, you keep your word. And now all that the black people in this country are demanding, and even the black people in the whole world are demanding, is that you keep your word. You told us we were free. Well then, show us that we're free. You told us that there is justice, equality for all in this country. Well then, stick to your word. And let us see the justice and equality for all. Or else admit to us that you're not a man, you're a worm, you're afraid of us, you're afraid to give us equal stand.
That part right there is a tenured and has been a tenured issue. It's never been equal. It's never been fair. It's never been the same. And even though the billing says that you can perceive, you can achieve, you can make it, that is a lie that come out of the mouths of the Babylonians that speak it, and it has been. And folks are beyond tired of it. And have a right to be. Everybody else can get their comeuppance. Everybody else can speak about the atrocities and get heard. This speech, this tone, this message has been tenured. When you gonna fix your That's why a lot of folks like let it burn.
You're afraid that if you give us equal ground, that we will match you and we will override you.
A lot of folks say that's why we ain't have Black Wall Street no more. Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know, the medical field that preys on our lives, on our bodies, and our organs. No one want to hear me though. Allegedly, the 10-year practice of Tuskegee experiments that never went away, they just got changed to a different name. These are continued. Abolish music, bless you, brothers. These are tenured issues that we got to deal with, and it drives me crazy. Like it's not known, even though it's hidden, even though it's lied and whitewashed, that this has been the condition of this nation.
And if that's what you're afraid of us, then tell us that just what you're afraid of. But don't keep hiding it from us and holding this up to us, and every time we ask you for something, you give us a little bit of something, and it's all tokenism. We don't want tokenism. And there are most black men in this world that don't want charity. And yet still every time we ask you for something, you give us a little piece, a little piece. You're playing games with us. We're not children. We're big men. I've seen my father have to put up with all kinds of stuff. He was a big man. He raised a family. He went down south, and he had to go around to the back door with his wife. We're not asking for anything. We're not asking for any favors. All we want is what's ours. Now, there are many...
Now, that was just the 60s, first and foremost, and I like to make sure that we keep it all the way inside of a being, because folks like to keep things projected out like it was some far away. This last 100-year period has been horrible, and a lot has not changed outside of, oh, you can go here and speak here in part. You can be seen in part. It is not far removed. He was just speaking to the fact that he said his dad, this is the 60s, he can recall seeing his dad be treated in a manner. The same happened with my grandmother and her mother, my grandmother, not my great-grandmother, I said my grandmother. And the seeds that they had to deal with and live and endure are still producing dividends. So you lost me with this microaggression and attention to detail, like you like the holy moralistic compass of how to get business done, how a way should be done, how to treat individuals. But look, I digress. Let's keep
black veterans who are coming back and they're mad, they're angry. Do you think that they're going to sit down through this? Our fathers didn't have the knowledge that we have. They sat through it. But there are other black youth that are not going to sit through it. We know about Che. We know about Fanon. We've read the books of our revolution. We've many black veterans who are coming back and they're mad. They're angry.
That history. Servicemen and women, bless your hearts, that are given the ultimate sacrifice and been willing to give the ultimate sacrifice because you have believed the tropes, just like when you're here in Business America, that you matter, and that you're joining, and that you're enabling and aiding of your establishment will give you some type of inclusivity when it really does not. How many folks came home from Vietnam strung out on the opiates that were presented as a means to deal with the pain and the traumas prescribed by the system because of the stuff that you saw or the things that you had to endure, whether it was your physical body or your mental self, because that thing was grisly. War is disgusting, right? Then you come home, and this is a 10-year practice, all from when the first regiment of melanated people started, all the way down until, as I was speaking, when we at now, and in Vietnam, you come home and you don't have a home because the bank foreclosed on your house, but they knew you was in the military. You're a veteran, but you can't get medical benefits, but you gave and you sacrificed and you put the time in. They would be angry. They have been angry. And I shook my head as the brother, the elder, because this is dated. Again, this is 60s video information. The elder spoke and he said, we read this, we read that. That was what was lost in that time period because the youth were being more astute on liberation mindsets. And there are those that will jump in and say Marxism this and communist that. No. It's always presented as through those lenses when it's we want equality, justice, and the liberty of life like everyone else and humanity should have. But those are the lens and those are the tropes that always get thrown up. And as a young man said, the mindset of the youth, they are not there in our generation and in these generations that are going forth right now.
Do you think that they're going to sit down through this?
I appreciate the gifts. Thank you so much.
We have. They sat through it.
I never got one of those before, so that's a good look. Thank you.
That are not going to sit through it. We know about Che. We know about Fanon. We've read the books of our revolution. We've listened to Mao and his quotations. We know where we stand. We're not going to sit for it.
We did at a time.
We're asking, and if we ask and we don't get, we're prepared to stand up and take it. If I ask a man, I tell a man I am hungry. I tell him I am cold. And I ask him to do something about my condition. And this man holds a loaf of bread right in front of me so I can see it. And I keep asking him, I'm begging him to please give me a slice of the loaf of bread. I am hungry.
Humanity,
then it is
right?
known by every psychologist that the next step in the progression is I am going to knock him upside the head and take the bread from him. I'm not going to starve to death. All we're asking, no one wants to see blood. No one likes the smell of blood. No one wants war. Anyone who's been in war...
Do you feel him though, huh?
Believes that they are deputized to control the movements of black people.
Why?
This is actually what existed after the Civil War with the creation of black codes, where black people could be questioned by any white person and asked to show their papers showing their employment, that
Why?
some white person employed them, and that therefore they had the right to...
How you just gonna come up to folks? Like, I was sitting in the park and the dude was like, why would you do that right there? He thought I was smoking weed. It wasn't. It's called Al Capone's. But why did you feel entitled to come ask me that question? I promise you, you wouldn't go ask Polak Joe or Belgium Steve or Austrian Joey. But you always want to come seek out melanated folks and just be in their business. Like she said, it's like an entitlement. Why? Children of the immigrants are the 5 points of the dead rabbits. Like, what's wrong with you?
Be on a public road. That's how they used to try to police us after the Civil War. After we were theoretically free from slavery, they created these state codes and city ordinances that controlled our conduct. And that's what you see when you see, all of these people who call 911 on black people having a barbecue or standing outside their house.
Now, again, the same as what I said with those who at work, right? It's the same as what I was going to pull up that clip with Dr. Umar, where he goes, I'm dealing with this because I want to be in my child's life. And he was right? You get this vitriol, you get this microaggression, you get this entitlement because you want to be at work. You have a job, you're at a location, you're in a vicinity, and you just want to be you. And then someone feels as though they have the right to check your right to be, to exist. Like, that's one of the things that's like driving me crazy about this time period, humbling, where everyone is at the time where they're like, I have a right to be seen, I have a right to be heard, I have a right to be acknowledged the way that I see, the way that I feel. And I'm like, that's awesome. Melanated black folks been asking that thing since we've been over here. And now folks that already had it, they want it at a different level. I've already been acknowledged, but I want to be acknowledged like this. I've already been seen, I've already had this opportunity, but I want it like this because it suits me better this way. Okay. But that's not across the board for everybody. That's the problem. Come on, sister, come on.
Or whatever they're calling about.
Teenagers going to a swim party.
Teenagers going to a swim party is the fundamental belief.
And that's where I was saying.
Most white people.
You only get that with folks who just want to do regular ass stuff. Folks who got the AKs, you ain't calling on them. You're not walking up to them like, why do you have that AK, young man? You know they'll give you that work. Brothers and sisters that's out there like, I wish another one would. Say something right now. Because we see, look, the internet ain't got no shortage of brothers and sisters willing to crash all the way out for somebody stepping in their face talking disrespectful. You never see them with that smoke or that level of microaggression. I wonder why.
That they have the right to question a black person's legitimacy. And essentially asked the black person to show their freedom papers, essentially, to show that they have the right to enter this building, to be in this hallway, to be in the gym we saw recently, right? You know, show me that you work in this building.
I appreciate that follow right there, girl.
Where
Pops,
do you
good
live?
looking. Bless your heart.
This is extraordinary. But it is directly connected to this period after slavery in which white people basically deputized themselves to be able to do this, to question.
Deputize themselves to go out and ask you, show me your papers. Who told you you could be around here? They want you to be cool with it.
The problem exists because white people think they're better than black people, and they want to oppress us, and they want us to allow ourselves to be oppressed.
That right there is a mindset that continues to perpetuate in 2025. It's the dumbest thing ever. You know how, and we're going to segue into it, but you know how they always say, why is everything about what? Why is everything about race? The concept, the categoryism. Who created it? And what for? Who still uses it to ostracize, to minimize, to victimize? But it's made up, right? But y'all hear me though. Okay.
I agree with you perfectly. This is the basic problem.
Then what do you
that
want
white
to talk to me
people
about?
think they're better than others.
I can't solve the problem. You guys pull the strings that close schools. You guys draw the boundaries that keep our kids restricted to the ghetto. You guys write up the restrictive covenants that keep us out of houses. So it's up to you to talk to your brothers and your sisters and persuade them that they have a responsibility. We've assumed ours for over 400 years, and we're tired of this kind of stuff now. We're not going to suffer patiently anymore. No more turning the other cheek. No more blessing our enemies. No more praying for those who despitefully use us. We're going to show you that we've learned the lessons you've taught us. We've studied your history, and you did not take over this country by singing "We Shall Overcome." You did not gain control of the world like you have it now by dealing fairly with a man and keeping your word. You're treaty breakers, you're liars, you're thieves, you rape entire continents and rape. The problem exists because white people think they're better than black people. And
some people like to say, let him cook at the end. Let him cook.
We're not going to suffer patiently anymore. No more turning the other cheek. No more blessing our enemies. No more praying for those who despitefully use us. We're going to show you that we've learned the lessons you've taught us. We've studied your history, and you did not take over this country by singing "We Shall Overcome." You did not gain control of the world like you have it now by...
So the people that rape and pillage all the way around want to sit there and point the finger like, you're so aggressive, you're so mean, you're so angry, when you're always been trying to constantly stamp out a folks' purpose of life and the ability to just have life. It kind of builds up a distrust, and rightfully so. This is why it was so important, the destruction that was wrought with those assassinations in the 60s. Because once that went down, the mindset and the collective continuation of the same really took a hit. And it was supplanted with a whole bunch of BS that came from the entertainment and the athletic community, as well as a lot of infiltrated Black Judases that came in, were presented in front of us as a viable option of solidarity and someone that we should be looking to, when in factuality they were wolves in sheep's clothing. But we're going to continue in. One second, let me pull up our next clip on there for you. And if you could, as I've asked, press that like button, please. It does so much to help out on the channel. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Please forgive me. Like I said, I'm not super duper flipping around. You know how you grab them scenes that you want, and you want to add that to that. But I wasn't that dude that set it up beforehand, because life be life. And you heard what I said. I hope y'all making it home. I hope you're enjoying the live. I hope the conversation is something that resonates with you. Because unfortunately, these are issues that we all have to deal with, are they not? And have had to deal with for some time. Listen to this young lady right here.
Industry in Barbados ever again. I will never work in the hospitality industry in Barbados ever again. I can share so many story times about the years that I worked in that industry, but this one
this is just an example of, this is not just over here in America, okay? The mindset of the Eurasian and European America. What's up? Like, why y'all got like issue with folks who have any melanation in their skin?
Particular still blows my mind. So I moved from Trinidad to Barbados to go to UE, and in my first year at UE, my first semester, I decided that I was going to stay in Barbados to get a job over the Christmas holiday. So I stayed in Barbados. I got a job at this West Coast restaurant as a waitress slash kitchen assistant, and I worked through the Christmas holiday, all of the double pay days, mind you. And after the first week, I got some kind of runaround about my check. The second week came by, and it was New Year's Day, and I was at work. I went to the owner, who was a white European lady, and I asked her to pay me. And she was like, you know what? I decided that I'm not going to pay you for the last 2 weeks. We'll just consider it training. And I was like, that's not legal. First of all, I'm not working for free. I'm not a slave. And that's not what we agreed to. I'm not just going to work for you for free over the Christmas holiday. Are you insane? So I repeated, are you not going to pay me my money because you have a check for me for the last 2 weeks? She said no. So right then and there, I took off my apron, I left. I came back the next day and I asked for my check, and she said, don't come back to my restaurant unless you have an appointment. And I was like, what is happening right now? So I went to the labor office, and they told me that they couldn't enforce her to pay me, but I should go back, demand my payment again, and if she refuses to pay me, call the police. So I made my appointment. I went in, I met with her. She took me to the back office with the general manager of the restaurant, who was this Bajan guy. There's three of us in this tiny office. I'm on one side of the table, she's at the next side of the table, and he's standing there overseeing this interaction. She slides me a piece of paper that says, I agree that the last 2 weeks were training, and I'm going to accept $50 Bajan as compensation for transportation. And I was like, I'm not signing that. That's crazy. You need to run me my money. She's like, sign it or get out of my restaurant. And I said, no, I'm not leaving until you pay me. She was so angry and just in so much disbelief that I wouldn't just go along with what she was saying. This woman lunged across the table and backhanded me across my face, full on, like, I was like, what the fuck did this bitch just hit me? I had like a slow motion reaction, like Mike Tyson in the ring, like blood splattered up my mouth. And she tried to jump at me again, but
how many of you? Now, I know that everybody ain't let nobody just hit off on them, but again, you know what? Being honest in these corporate settings, and again, this is the conversation at hand. You in here in New Babylon, you in these offices, you on these sites, they've got a real interesting policy, how they let folks just have moments of microaggression, that you have had the conversations with, you tried to go to ER, you tried to go to other supervisors and have the conversation with, that this person just has a toxic energy when it comes to you and anyone that looks like you. And it's known throughout usually these places. As when we first got into the video, the young lady said, you know what, it's not that young lady, it's going to be actually this young lady, but You'll hear her say it. She's going to get to the point where she says, you know what, let me let her finish.
Manager got in between us, held her back, and
no, she said it already. Okay, so she said when she hit her. So when she smacked her, and she says she goes out of the room and says, oh, she hit somebody again. These folks have tenured histories of this behavior, but they don't get, this isn't what we stand by here, and this is what we're about. We're going to think we're going to go separate ways. Like, that conversation is always delineated and given to the reaction. But when folks go to lengths to detail, ask you what's happening with you, TTT, I appreciate you. When they go to lengths to do the right thing and go through the proper protocols, they don't get the response of the expedited, okay, this person has moved to a new site. This person is no longer with us. I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. Hey, let's get you some mediation. Let's get, you know what I mean? That never happens.
Crying, I stormed out of the restaurant, and another staff member was like, she hit somebody again, and I'm like, again? Why is this the norm? Anyway, it just turned into a whole hullabaloo. I was outside bawling. The police had to come. She got charged with battery and assault. It was in the newspaper. Anyway, eventually she ended up settling and paying me much more money than she just should have in the first place. But I think it's crazy that she felt so empowered to act that way. And the fact that she was known for acting this way with other staff members is very telling.
Mm-hmm. It's real telling. That energy is horrible. And the more and more you deal with it, some folks have really crashed out and lost their mind. And it's not you. All you want to do is just be left alone. All you want to do is do your job. So I'm here to encourage you this day. Continue to stand your ground and continue to let these folks know, like, I am not the one. Because your health, your mental health, your emotional health is not worth it. It's not worth stroking out. It's not worth messing up your money unless it's time to move on because it's messing with your health. Anxiety because of what goes on in these businesses, what goes on at these jobs, it's not worth it because, again, they're not going to send nobody to come take care of your family, to take care of the responsibilities in which you are left to steward over. You hear what I'm saying? Let's continue on.
Yes.
One second. Let's get this next one up.
You did. Does not mean.
And if you could press that like button for me, I really appreciate it. It helps out greatly for a brother. As you can see where I live at, you can hear them ambulances come by every once in a while. They don't want to give me that either. One second. We're doing that actually. So what do you think about what's being said? Have you dealt with, and I know you have, the things that we were talking about that, let me turn it down a little bit. The microaggression here at these jobs and how you have to wear these masks and how you have to watch how you say, because if not, it's going to mess up your coins. But at the point where now in 2025, folks are tired of dealing with the mess. They're not willing to take it home and take that stress home to their children, take that stress home to their families. They're not willing to deal with it any longer. And they have a right to want to have peace in the workplace. You know, these corporations and these jobs are on such a push for folks to come back and work back inside of brick and mortar places, get away from the transitional at-home jobs and things of that sort. But again, with the way that AI is going, no one wants to go back in these offices and have to deal with the toxicity that goes on, the cattiness, the run tell that, the behind kissing, and the pettiness, the petty bettiness. Like, and then we haven't even segued into the spiritual connotations. Some of you may not be there. I am. I'm not here to push it off on you. This is just my humble opinion and my perspective. And within that, there are definitely spiritual strongholds on some of these places. And if you are a go-getter, a self-starter, it will try to jump and leap and press upon you because you do have something that is advantageous to others. And if allowed to foster, it would change that atmosphere. So you become the target. And anything you do seems to not be able to go right because it's a spiritual throne. It's a spiritual stronghold at some of these jobs. The one that I'm at currently right now, the morale is horrible. And they like to keep the morale horrible. You know, you feel like people feel, if they feel good about going into their jobs, their careers, their fields of employment, the production rate, the atmosphere, the energy is high level, right? But that doesn't seem to be the case. Like trying to get off on some of these places. Oh, you have certain many days off. You have time and a half off or things like that that you've stacked up that you've allowed to accumulate. And now you want to have off. But you can't schedule off with the days even if you have days off. As if real life does not happen. Like nothing is normal. Nothing is regular. So in that regard, everything is ever changing. And you have to make the adjustment. That's real life. There are schedules, there are routines that kind of stick to the flow. But as we all know, if we live long enough, that could change at the drop of a dime. So, what we talking about here, right? So, we got a couple more examples that we're going to get up out of here. But again, the goal in the conversation today is the microaggression of being so over. The BS. Being so over. Being watched. And, you hear what I'm saying, man. I don't want to get too far because I got to take my child to the park today. And I don't want to be there with the flared nostril. Like I got an attitude. Nah, I'm just joking. I have great, all praises to the Most High, emotional control. But again, you get tired of indifference. You get tired of ignorance. You get tired of dealing with people and they bullcrap. Like, who is you? Nobody. It's like, hey, I didn't come here trying to be somebody to y'all. I just want to be seen. I just want to be heard. I just want to be me. That's cool. Leave me all the way alone. Let me do my job. My job not predicated on what you do, how you see it. They sometimes supposed to be mad that you get things done a different way, that they don't do it that way. Well, that's not how I do it. That's cool. Did it get done? Did it get done? Is there an issue? And they be like, well, no. Well, then why is you talking to me? Just to have something to say. Just to have this interaction. Just to be weird. Why you want to be weird? But that energy ain't kept for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, Lord have mercy. Let's get this brother up here and let's see what he say about the RICO cases and who else got to deal with it. Because, you know, I heard a brother say the other day that he felt as though the Black Panther Party was a terrorist group.
KKK will never be indicted.
Never.
Them niggas will never get the RICO. Them niggas will never be considered terrorists.
How is that not even possible?
Story about the two twins that just got hung in the mountains somewhere.
Georgia, yeah, somewhere.
They got shot and drug up there.
Yeah,
and they found a firefighter. They arrested somebody over there.
Yeah, firefighter allegedly, not even allegedly, he did. He took video. I think they found text messages bragging about it. So, and this hasn't even broke the news.
KKK ain't never been done nothing like that. The Asian hate bill, they got a bill. We don't got no bill. Everybody got a bill. Everybody got protection. We ain't got protection. We go in here to the jobs. You get bigoted. You get prejudiced against. Like, folks are done with it. Now, for those who got the rah, and the energy that's negative, I don't want to be around somebody that's got negative energy myself. That's not what I'm capping for. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those, as the young lady said in the beginning, that when you try to foster an area and an atmosphere of commonality, unity, or even if that's not even your case and you just want to be left alone and you want to go in, do your job, you ain't got no issue. People say, what's up, but it ain't nothing deep. We ain't going out, we ain't busting it up. What is wrong with that? We should and we are entitled to it just like everyone else. And it is time for us to continue to have these conversations. As the young lady said, she's going to continue to call out this behavior. She's going to continue not to take a step back for her mental health, because how many women have lost and going through bald spots because of the level of stress of what they're dealing with in this corporate world? How many brothers have sat down and had a double deuce or a couple shots because of how they deal with on these construction sites and in this business world? I'm tired of seeing the impact of it not being fair and act like it's supposed to be, like not supposed to be, but like it's presented as it if it is, or if it the same level of opportunity is across the board is disingenuous. It's been disingenuous. And then we have now been stunted because there have been a plethora of agendas and specific targeted campaigns that have caused some of the ways that these things were identified in previous times are no longer as identifiable because the distraction has been so specifically poignant to cause the current times in which we're living in. So those issues, along with the actual just living it, is ridiculous. But we're gonna continue on. Give me 1 second. Let me get our next vids up for you. Get these views. What's young brother James say?
Me. You're asking me to do something impossible. You're asking me to take the will for the deed. I don't know what most white people in this country feel, but I can only include what they feel from the state of their institutions. I don't know if white Christians hate Negroes or not, but I know that we have a Christian church which is white and a Christian church which is black. I know, as Malcolm X once put it, the most segregated hour in American life is high noon on Sunday. That says a great deal for me about a Christian nation. It means I can't afford to trust most white Christians, and certainly cannot trust the Christian church. I don't know whether the labor unions and their bosses really hate me.
Gigi, what's happening?
That doesn't matter, but I know I'm not in their union. I don't know if the real estate lobby is anything against black people, but I know the real estate lobbies keep me in the ghetto. I don't know if the Board of Education hates black people, but I know the textbooks they give my children to read and the schools that we have to go to. Now, this is...
Are we catching that conversation? Because it seems like he's just going on and on. But no, he is speaking. This is then, bless James's little biscuit heart, about the issues that he knows are facts that people who look like him have to deal with. And that message, that conversation is a 10-year conversation. As long as folks were able to start recording themselves on whatever contraptions that were to record sound or to record picture, this message has been out there. It's been falling upon deaf ears across all the rest of the nations across the world. Everybody else gets to hear their story, but ours. Run that back with the brother.
Me. You're asking me to do something impossible. You're asking me to take the will for the deed. I don't know what most white people in this country feel, but I can only include what they feel from the state of their institutions. I don't know if white Christians hate Negroes or not, but I know that we have a Christian church which is white and a Christian church which is black. I know, as Malcolm X once put it, the most segregated hour in American life is high noon on Sunday.
Pause. Hot topic of the day, hot topic of the times, the segregation button. Where do you stand on that? Put that in the chat. Let me know where you stand on that.
That says a great deal for me about a Christian nation. It means I can't afford to trust most white Christians, and certainly cannot trust the Christian church. I don't know whether the labor unions...
How many of you, if, another question, a person of faith or belief, trust a demographic that don't look like you in that same supposed belief system? Have you lived through a commonality and fostership of unity, or has it been a schism? Where do you stand on that?
Their bosses really hate me. That doesn't matter, but I know I'm not in their union. I don't know if the real estate lobby is anything against black people, but I know the real estate lobbies keep me in the ghetto. I don't know if the Board of Education hates black people, but I know the textbooks they give my children to read and the schools that we have to go to. Now, this is the evidence. You want me to make an act of faith, risking myself, my wife, my woman, my sister, my children, on some idealism which you assure me exists in America, which I have never seen. What you are asking...
And I don't care if you don't think that I should be talking about it because I'm white. Because the truth is the truth. And if it bothers you that much, maybe you should ask yourself why. You know, after World War I, the GI Bill was created to help veterans buy houses and start businesses and go to college. It was built for the American middle class.
What?
But here's what they didn't teach you. Black veterans were intentionally left out. Colleges wouldn't admit them, and the ones who wanted to start businesses denied loans. Meanwhile, white veterans were securing homes and building wealth and passing it down to their children. And before you say that that was a long time ago, remind yourself that generational wealth doesn't expire. The black families today, on average, have 1/10 the wealth of bad decisions, not because they didn't work hard, but because the system made sure that they started 50 steps behind.
Purposely.
You get mad about that.
Everybody knows that.
I don't feed into negativity.
It's on cold
But
to
as
stay
long
to
as you
keep
keep
that
getting
hitting,
my
but
comments,
it's on
because it
a
makes you so
known
mad,
level.
so angry, I'm going to continue to do it
Bless her heart.
every day until you learn. Black history is American history, whether you like it or not. I don't care.
Appreciate y'all here. And as she said, that came from a woman who identifies as white. The truth has always been out there for those who want to just be honest and speak the truth. And I appreciate individuals and anomalies for doing just that, because it's those anomalies and those individuals that let the collective know they haven't been going crazy. But they know they haven't been going crazy. But dealing in New Babylon, it'll make you think you're going crazy because you don't conform to things that are clearly wrong. And when you stand up and say this is wrong, that's not wrong. What do you mean? It's okay. Let that lady speak that truth out there again.
And I don't care if you don't think that I should be talking about it because I'm white. Because the truth is the truth. And if it bothers you that much, maybe you should ask yourself why. You know, after World War I, the GI Bill was created to help veterans buy houses and start businesses and go to college.
Is that so?
It was built for the American middle class.
But everybody
here's
was
what
able to
they
get
didn't
themselves and pull themselves up by the bootstrap, right? We all know that was a lie from the devil. We all know that the DEI programs that the propaganda has been trying to promote and get the collective to be in such a disarray about didn't benefit folks that look like me and you as it was supposedly intended for. The crash out and those who greatly have benefited from the welfare system historically don't look like you or me. However, it has done a job on our families. But I digress. That's a different conversation, right? That's a whole different conversation. Let the young lady continue.
Black veterans were intentionally left out. Colleges wouldn't admit them, and the ones who wanted to start businesses denied loans. Meanwhile, white veterans were securing homes and building wealth and passing it down to their children. And before you say that that was a long time ago, remind yourself that generational wealth doesn't expire. The black families today, on average, have 1/10 the wealth of bad decisions, not because they didn't work hard, but because the system made sure that they started 50 steps behind. You get mad about that. I don't feed into negativity. But as long as you keep getting in my comments, because it makes you so mad, so angry, I'm going to continue to do it
Appreciate
every day.
Truth is the truth.
Until you learn. Black history is American history, whether you like it or not. I don't care.
That part. Because we got so many things that we need to be taken seriously. However, there's never going to be any unity here. That joint been shot in the foot for a long time. Because folks have not been who they said they were. And because you have not been who you said you were, we're never going to have the conversation that we should have had. And we're never going to move forward as a group and as a nation that we could have been. That is over and done with. So much so that they have now gone to supplant this group and bring in a different demographic of people. But that conversation has always been being told for quite some time. I don't know how long some of you are been around. Been around for a little bit. It's under 50. But I remember them saying a long time ago, like, hey, after a certain time period, the way that languages and things were going to go over here in America was going to be completely different. And I am living to see how that thing is going. So, shout out to the Octa Wizard. What's up, brothers? Good to see you. Stop by the live of the feed. Appreciate you. Talking about the microaggressions our people got to deal with. and the history and the tenured history of the issues that we have to deal with just trying to survive and be beautiful, be melanated, not cause issues. Now, like I said, those are the rah-rah, those that are destructive folks ain't never got no issue with them. They ain't got no smoke for them. You don't run up on them. You don't run call cops on them. It's always the people who are just doing what they're supposed to do, people who are just relaxing. We're going to hit that again off our young lady who started us off today as I continue to paint this picture of the microaggressions and toxicity.
So let's just take it from there at this point. I think that's the best solution.
I think also the best solution is to not have a repeat of this dynamic. That's all I'm asking for. This dynamic is beginning to it's just it's
Let me know if that's too loud for you.
And I want us to at least have a conversation, just a clear dialogue, not anything about director and employee, but just a human to human, person to person dialogue, because the dynamic and this breakdown in communication is just, it's not professional. We ought to be able to communicate like two adults without it feeling like one person is being a bully and the other person is just hanging on the other end because one person is dangling their job over their head.
Want to go in there and do your job, and you feel like if you don't kiss behind, if you don't kiss cheeks, if you don't play the game, they gonna fire you, mess your money up. In the economic times that we're living in right now, where money is funny and the cost of living, folks still playing with people's jobs, man. Because you don't kowtow down to them, because they don't feel as though you respect them enough. You don't have to respect them when you do a good work, if you have a good work ethic. And because for some weird behind reason, you're a little bit more darker in some hue, folks have this mental, like, well, no, it's not psychic, but what's psychotic condition that makes them believe that they are entitled to question and to wonder why you have a right to exist.
I would prefer to be able to come to you as just like a person who I respect and admire, and have
she putting the
dialogue
sauce
when
on.
I need help.
She's,
I feel
boy, she
comfortable
put the
and
sauce
confident
on her.
in
You
being
hear?
a
Bless your
leader
heart,
that I can
sister.
come to.
She really trying to show you, like, I'm not trying to
But
come
it's
at your
hanging
neck.
on the other end because one person's dangling their job over their head. I would prefer to be able to come to you as just like a person who I respect and admire, and have dialogues, and when I need help, I feel comfortable and confident in you being a leader that I can come to.
Boy, you hear that? You take a note at that. That's a master class in trying to keep it smooth, boy. You get more bees with honey than you do with salt. Come on, somebody. I didn't think that the sister lost any stance. I didn't think that it was beneath her to speak the things that she spoke. Again, she wants to have an atmosphere that when she can go to work is chill, is good. So she threw a little sweet words out there, and this little trash truck dweller sitting on the other side of the computer just wanted to continue going on. Man, I tell you what, I can't. It's a shame. These little couch cushion sniffers can't get their life right. They're so evil.
But it seems that every time I try to bring an issue up with the tone or the disrespect or the dynamic, it is met with even more tones and disrespect.
More tones, attitude, disrespect, subjectiveness, right? You just got this carte blanche where you just talk reckless and you just come off like you just, oh, it's like that. Like you would, you know how folks be saying it? If this was outside, you wouldn't be doing it. How many of y'all been there? How many of you had to quiet down the quiet storm? You want to rumble with the bee, huh? Because you know they wouldn't say that outside. You know some people got to put the clap in their hand. I know you wouldn't say that outside. They wouldn't say that outside. They don't say that outside. They would never walk up to you and use that same energy. Why? Because they know there might be some consequences. I'm not saying that I advocate violence for anyone. That is not here. We are all here for educational purposes. Okay. What I'm saying is that wouldn't happen. And it doesn't happen. But in these businesses, on these job sites, at these places like that, D, what's happening with you? Shout out to that brother. We got to deal with this type of microaggression, this type of disrespect, because folks know that there has been a time because you got responsibilities. Someone may not put the pause on you, and they may not crash your way out. But now that we in 2025 and the world is spinning to the next cycle of the apocalypse, yeah, them days is all the way over with, and people looking to beat foot the behind. They not with the indifference no more. So you be safe out there, cause it's going down like the Catalina wine mixture in some places. You heard?
And breakdowns in the dynamic. I can get this promotion.
Please push that like button. We are sitting at 60. I appreciate you standing by and hanging out with an old man. You are so cool. You are so cool.
It hasn't been unclear. It hasn't been unclear.
Look how she cuts this off, man.
Up with the tone or the disrespect or the dynamic. It is met
Okay,
with
so
even more.
the tone, the disrespect, right? It's going to be on cue when you hear the rebuttal as she's speaking. Listen for tone. Listen for disrespect. See if she's making it up. Is she capping?
More tones and disrespect and breakdowns in the dynamic. I can get this promotion over the finish line. I can do what I need to do to get the job done because I've been getting the job done this entire time. But I don't want the repeat. It hasn't been unclear. It hasn't been unclear. I'm being very it's not been unclear. The communication has been disrespectful. And there's a difference between the two. And I'm asking, and I shouldn't have to ask another adult to respect me as a human being. And that is all I'm asking for. I've been asking for that for months. Respect the way you speak to me. Respect the tone that you use towards me. Respect me as a human being enough to collaborate with me on these projects, these jobs, or even when there's something that's wrong. At least be willing to accept your role in certain things when things break down and not just always want to push it all on me and push the responsibility of that on me when there is a clear breakdown in communication between the both of us that are causing certain things to deteriorate.
At this point, my newest habit is calling a thing a thing.
Well.
Okay, I'm going to call you out on your behavior every time you exercise said behavior. I'm not going to sit and lie down and be on the receiving end of microaggressions anymore. I'm too old for that shit. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. I do my job, and I guess sometimes I do it too well.
How many of that is y'all?
And that ruffles feathers. But who cares?
How many of y'all is that?
Behavior every time you exercise said behavior. I'm not going to sit and lie down and be on the receiving end of microaggressions anymore. I'm too old for that shit. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. I do my job, and I guess sometimes I do it too well, and that ruffles feathers. But
can't let you be excellent.
Can we just get the fucking job
Can't let you be beautiful.
It is just her and me. We are the department. So when I speak
to her
about the morale,
this whole conversation about the morale
and me,
it's just two people.
Holds all the cards, and my job, dangling it over my head, and just be too well, and that ruffles feathers. But
so now, watch it. Put it into context.
Who cares?
Where's she at?
But it seems that every time I try to bring an issue up with the tone or have dialogues, and when I need help, I feel comfortable and confident in you being a leader that I can come to. Have dialogues, and when I'm professional, we ought to be able to communicate like two adults without it feeling like one person is being a bully and the other person is just hanging on the other end because one person is dangling their job over their head.
It's only two people working in that office. And one of them is the supervisor. And she feels like if I don't kiss your behind, I'm going to lose my job. This ain't a whole office. It's two women working in there. Y'all can't just be civil. It just can't be regular energy. How you doing today? You know what you're working with. You know who you work with every single day. We not a team. Nope. But when you on teams, whether you be in college or high school, there is camaraderie. Seen it. Experienced it. When you're in certain settings, whether it's the military, I've seen camaraderie. Where does the disconnect happen? When did it happen? Where did it, how?
I would prefer to be able to come to you as just like a person who I respect and admire and have dialogues, and when I need help, I feel comfortable and confident in you being a leader that I can come to. But it seems that every time I try to bring an issue up with the tone or the disrespect or the dynamic, it is met with even more tones and disrespect and breakdowns in the dynamic. I can get this promotion over the finish line. I can do what I need to do to get the job done, because I've been getting the job done this entire time. But I don't want the repeat.
Been unclear.
It hasn't been unclear. It hasn't been unclear. I'm being very it's not been unclear. The communication has been disrespectful. And there's a difference between the two. And I'm asking, and I shouldn't have to ask another adult to respect me as a human being. And that is all I'm asking for. I've been asking for that for months. Respect the way you speak to me. Respect the tone that you use towards me. Respect me as a human being, and to collaborate with me on these
acknowledge
projects,
me as the
these
person
jobs,
that you want to be acknowledged with, right?
Wrong. At least be willing to accept your role in certain things when things break down, and not just always want to push it all on me and push the responsibility of that on me when there is a clear breakdown in communication between the both of us that are causing certain things to deteriorate.
At this point, my newest habit is calling a thing a thing. Okay, I'm going to call you out on your behavior every time you exercise said behavior. I'm not going to sit and lie down and be on the receiving end of microaggressions anymore. I'm too old for that shit. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. I do my job, and I guess sometimes I do it too well.
Don't worry about that.
And that ruffles feathers. But who cares? Can we just get the fucking job done? It is just her and me. We are the department. So when I speak to her about the morale, it's just her and me, the person who holds all the cards, and my job dangling it over my head and just, being a bully, using that as a means to bully me. I am done with it. I'm done with it. And I went ahead and told HR, like, hey,
CYA, and know how to use it.
I already told this woman that we need to talk about her behavior. So this is when we're going to talk about it. This is what I'm going to say. I sent that email this morning before we even had this call. I told her I was going to call my boss out on her bullying. And I identified it as such. Because God has the abundance of grace. I don't. My grace has run dry. It's run dry. I depleted it. Trying to be patient and trying to, be mindful. Fuck all that. Fuck all that. Because what I ended up doing was sacrificing my own mental and emotional well-being.
And them days is over with.
For the sake of somebody who doesn't give two shits about.
For a job that won't come put no food on your table if you're sick and you can't get to work. It won't cover your bills. It won't make sure that your kids get back and forth if you can't do it because you under the weather or because you didn't hurt yourself at their job, at their place. These places don't care nothing about you. And until they start caring about the people, they need to be taught a lesson that is, if y'all don't invest in us, we not going to invest in you. That's a hard line. And it only really truly works if everybody working collective. But I'm not here to get on that soapbox because folks who speak that mission in these current times and in these current times, they end up saying that their car had trouble or they ate their service weapon because, So that's got to be a collective project. And until the collective is tired of the BS, these are the things that we had to deal with. I'm going to get out of here. We have been here for an hour and 32 minutes. I appreciate you all for stopping by the live. Please push that like button before you get on out of here. We've had 65 and a couple people stop by. I appreciate you. Blessings and peace be unto you today. Remember, the goal is not to crash out, but the goal is to call out the BS, to keep yourself mentally aware and to stay in the game because you do matter to somebody and to your peoples. With that being said, I'm your brother Yashair, and this has been a blessing. I'm going to holler at y'all, man.